find that juggling work and being a parent can feel really tough, and to be blunt, that you find it a real struggle to make time to look after yourself, right? You know that if you make the time for you to eat well, drink enough water, get enough sleep, maybe even exercise a little bit, you know that everything else will go better. And yet it can feel like such a struggle to actually carve out the time to do it, right? Does that resonate with you? Making the time for you when you're always running around taking care of everyone else, running the household and running your business. And here's the thing, I many of the people I speak with feel guilty or feel like they're neglecting family or the business if they take a break. Does that resonate with you as well? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you some tips and tricks and little mindset hacks to help you to make making time for yourself easy as a working mother. You'll learn how to carve out the time for yourself, how to create some lasting habits that support your own self-care, and I'm also going to share with you a peak performance science-based mindset hack that will help you succeed, not just in making time for yourself, but actually in anything else that you do as well. How does that sound? So, look, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. Just the fact that you're here says to me that you are ready to lean in, not just create more balance in your life, but to step into your potential. And so I absolutely commend you for that. Thank you for being here. I'd love to know where it is that you're listening in from. So please feel free to drop where you're listening from, and also as we go along, any nuggets, any things that really resonate with you. I'd love to hear what those things are. And I do just want to share as well, I'm going to be covering about half a dozen specific tips, things that work that you can apply in your own life so that you can have more time for you, which will help you then to bring more of your true potential into everything that you do and have the satisfaction that comes from that. So if you'd like access to my show notes so that you can go back over things, refer back to them and so on, you're very welcome to do that. Just drop the word notes for me and I'll make sure you get access to those. I also have a resource that I'll be sharing towards the end, so stick around, and that's something to help you as well, to help you keep your cup full so that you can actually enjoy life more and bring the person you want to be to everything that you do. So how does that sound? Shall we get started? Oh, now, before we get started, there is a chance that you and I haven't met yet. So allow me to introduce myself. But first, before I do, I just want to welcome everyone who's here live. It's great to have you here. I invite you to drop in the chat where you're listening in from, and also anything that you take away as we go along. So thank you for being here, and let's dive right in. So firstly, hi. I'm Anna McKinlay, and what I do is I support and help mums who are working from home to be able to meet and, yes, even exceed your business goals while also nourishing your relationships, showing up as the kind of parent that you want to be, and retaining your own sanity, which is super, super important. So it's about looking after our relationships, our own health and self-care, so that you are also able to meet and exceed your business goals, because I know you can have it all. I know it because I've seen the evidence. So shall we dive into the hacks? All right. So the first thing to bear in mind is that, we hear so many people talk a lot about how tough it is being a working mother, about how hard it is to juggle work and home responsibilities, and it can feel like a real challenge. If you're a working mum, and especially if you're working from home and running your household, it can feel like you're constantly on the go. And it can feel like you're juggling a lot of balls, trying to keep a lot of things in the air at the same time. So it's important to take time for yourself and to look after yourself, even if that means just 5 or 10 minutes a day. The challenge is actually doing that. So let's get into the tips and tricks. And the very first thing I want to start with, often people put this one last, but from my perspective, this is the most important um, tip, strategy that I can give you when it comes to actually making time for yourself and keeping your own tank full. And that is simply be kind to yourself. You are doing the best you can in each moment. It's easy for us with hindsight to look back on what we did today or yesterday or something that didn't go the way that we would have liked it to. It's easy to do that in hindsight. But in each moment, you're doing the best that you can with the information, the time, the energy, and the resources that you have available to you. And if you're juggling household, business, maybe even a job in a business or a couple of businesses, being a parent, all of those things, let's acknowledge that that is a lot. So I invite you to be kind to yourself. It makes a huge difference. I used to be there too, trying to do everything perfectly, and beating myself up when I didn't live up to my own expectations. It's so easy for us to set expectations for ourselves that are so high that they're often unachievable, or certainly not achievable in a sustainable way. And then we beat ourselves up for not achieving that high bar, right? So please give yourself a break. If you're balancing a lot of demands on your time and your energy, you can actually give yourself a bit of credit. So I invite you to open up to that idea of being kind to yourself, because that is the first step to letting go of all of that negative noise that we can hear from our inner critic, that inner voice or that inner "ooh" feeling, which can keep us stuck and can keep us in negative energy and get us into a negative spin. And that doesn't serve you, your family, your business, anybody, right? So that leads me to my second tip, and that is, again, something which we often overlook. I invite you to give yourself permission to let it be easy to make time for you. We hear so much on the internet about how tough it is and how challenging it is. And I'm not saying that that's not true. But when we take that on board and we keep telling ourselves that, oh gosh, it's so hard what I'm doing, and it's so hard to juggle this, and it's difficult to make time for myself. Every time we say that, we're instructing our brain to make it hard for us, right? We're instructing our brain to not show us the ways in which it can be easy. And so we're creating that situation for ourselves. Does that make sense to you? And the more we lean into those perspectives that it is hard and that I can't make time for myself, that I don't have enough time to look after me, that I should be doing other things instead, whatever it is, every time we tell ourselves those stories, we're making that a more solid expectation in our brain, and that shapes how we show up. It shapes our expectations and it shapes how we experience life. Does that resonate with you? So I invite yourself to give you permission to let go of it having to be hard and to allow in the possibility that maybe it can be easy for you to make even just a small amount of time for you. Because if we expect it to be hard, it will be. And if we allow it to be easy, setting that intention opens your mind and your brain and your perception up to all the opportunities that do let it be easy. And this will also flow through into other areas of your life, not just looking after you, but it will flow through into how you show up as a parent in your business and more. I give myself permission to let it be easy. What would this look like if I were to let it be easy, right? So that's my second tip for you. Big, huge permission slip. You deserve to let looking after yourself be easy. So, ready for tip number 3? Now we're getting into some of the more tactile stuff. And this is one that you've heard before. I guarantee it. The key is to make it stick. And that is simply make a schedule for yourself and stick to it. The bit that we often don't hear about that, people will say, have a plan, make sure you list out all of the things that you need to do. Part of making that plan, and this is really critical in terms of using your time effectively, is planning when you're going to stop. So if you're making a plan for your day, that will have some things around your family and maybe some errands that you need to do and things. And then there will be a bunch of stuff that you want to do in your business, right? Or for your work. So you'll have different things on your plan. My recommendation in that plan is you actually choose how much time you're going to put into each thing and stop when you plan to. Because when we do that, you're training your brain to actually make the most of the time that you're allotting, and you're actually giving yourself permission, developing that skill, that mental muscle of creating some boundaries around your time, which allow you to free up time for other things. But also, as you practice this, will help you to use your time more effectively. I won't get into all of the details and neuroscience and all of the stuff in this video about why that works. Just there's a lot of science behind it. If you stop when you plan to, even if the task's not finished, give yourself permission to do that, you'll find that actually over time and with practice, you will become more productive and more focused, right? And it's also going to alleviate overwhelm and stress and mean that you can have time for you, right? So this is about ensuring, firstly and foremost, when you're making your schedule, that you actually include in your schedule some you time in each day, and thinking about what's the best time of the day for you to do that, include that. A habit I help all of my clients to develop is planning your day a day ahead. So thinking about what your priorities, what the kind of big, important, strategic things are. Well, they don't even need to be big, but the most important things that you want to put time into tomorrow, include in that what you're going to do for your own self-care and when and how much time you're going to put into that. Even a few minutes is better than nothing at all, right? And if you plan that the day ahead, that can be hugely effective for helping you focus on what matters, because when you start the day, you already know what your first step is. You don't need to think about it. You can just go straight into that. So in terms of planning and time for you, you can plan for it to be really easy. It could be as simple as just blocking out a few minutes between finishing your work and when your kids finish school, so that you have a little space just for you to be able to reset or recharge. Even if it's just 5 or 10 or 15 minutes for you. Simple, right? The key, as I've already said, is to stick to that, because most people will feel a bit of resistance at first. Know that that's normal, and the more that you stick to it, the easier it will get. That means if you say, I'm going to stop my work at 3 p.m., when the clock hits 3 p.m., you stop. Even if you feel like you need to keep going, or you're in flow, or there's more stuff I need to cross off my list, it's important for you to respect your own time and space. If you don't respect that, how can you expect anyone else to, right? So that's tip number 3. Make a schedule for yourself and stick to it, and stop when you plan to. Hugely powerful. So as part of that, here's tip number 4. And again, this one's kind of a no-brainer, and yet how many of us really do it? Take some time for yourself, even if it's just a few minutes. And the key thing here is make it a priority. A priority means it comes first. That's what priority means. And even if it's just a few minutes a day, it's so much easier and so much more effective in the long run for you to take just a few minutes a day for yourself than taking a bigger chunk of time, say once a week. Taking an hour on Sunday, it's going to be much harder to get consistent at that than taking just 5 minutes a day every day of the week, right? And you can allow that to be easy. Doesn't matter how busy we are. If we actually commit to it, anyone can find 5 minutes, right? And the key thing is, and if you find 5 minutes feels like too much of a stretch, start with just 1 minute and build on that. The thing is to commit to an amount of time for you every day that is small enough so it can feel 100% achievable for you to start doing right now. Right? And once you get that kind of into a pattern, then you'll find that it's kind of like using a lever, right? As you sort of put the lever, if you're using a lever to lever a big rock, you put the lever in underneath, and it's just the pointy bit of the lever. You just get that in, and then that creates space for more of the lever to go under the rock, and that creates some more space, and then you'll have it sort of solid enough so that you can push down on that lever and move the rock. So just starting with whatever is small enough that you can 100% to commit to it, that's like the pointy end of that lever, and you'll build on it. And that's how we actually create sustainable change. When I first started doing this, I had a huge number of beliefs. I felt absolutely guilty if I put my self-care first, because there were so many things that I should be doing for my children, for my business, around the house. I was looking around and seeing all these chores, and I couldn't possibly afford even 10 minutes in the morning. I committed to just doing 5 minutes each morning of looking after myself, because I felt that's all I could afford. And even that was, a stretch. It felt really hard, right? Um, and so I would go, I'm going to do 5 minutes of yoga every morning. That's the thing for me. The ironic thing is I'd spend 5 minutes just looking for a 5-minute yoga thing, and then I'd do the 5-minute yoga thing, and then I realized actually I can afford 10 minutes. The world is still turning, everyone is still alive. So it quickly moved to 10 minutes. And I've built on that and built on that, so that I now have a substantial self-care practice every day that takes care of my mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical well-being, so that every day I'm bringing my best version of myself to whatever it is that I do. And my whole life has shifted as a result. And I've helped other clients do the same. So I can tell you this works. Start small. So I'm inviting you to make the choice to commit to giving yourself even just a small amount of time every day, to make it your priority, right? Because when you do, everything else is going to shift. Right? It means you'll be showing up in your business as a parent and in every other area in a different way. And you'll actually find that you're more productive as well, because you're coming to everything from a more resilient, more effective, more focused state of mind. Right. So the next tip, you're committing to you're planning, right? You're giving yourself permission, you're letting it be easy, you're planning ahead. The time that you create, the key thing is to use it wisely. What do I mean by that? Use that precious time for you to do something that will genuinely help you recharge and rejuvenate. When we're feeling stretched and when we're feeling tired, maybe overwhelmed, maybe depleted, which a lot of us working mums feel, right? It can be so easy to get sucked into activities that aren't work, but that actually don't boost your energy either, and often deplete us more than rejuvenating us. For me, it's online Sudoku puzzles. I have this voice in my head that goes, "Oh, it'll give you a sense of satisfaction to do the puzzle, and it'll give you a break from work and all of that kind of thing." My mind tells me it will feel good. And then when I get sucked into doing that, of course, it's just one more game, just one more game. So a lot of time goes into it. And then I come out of that and my energy, my emotional energy is actually depleted. And that's because of the neurochemistry that the game is playing on in my brain. It does not rejuvenate me. So instead, for me, I've got a whole list of other things that I do instead: going outside, having a glass of water, putting my bare feet on the earth. That's called earthing, and it helps to rebalance our energy in our bodies. Going for a walk, just spending a few minutes with one of my kids and giving them a hug. That helps to re-energize me. Doing a quick yoga, doing some stretch, doing some qigong, doing some breathing. There are all sorts of things. If I have a little bit more time, going for a walk in the bush or on the beach, whatever it is, different things are available to different people. But the key thing here is it's going to be different for everybody. But and you can play with this and experiment and identify what are the things that actually help you to feel more energized after you've done it, that help you to recharge. Maybe it's even a power nap. That can be super powerful for some people as well. So my recommendation, my suggestion for you is actually think about what are those things that boost your energy and your well-being, that including things that only take a couple of minutes. And if you make a list ahead of time, then you can choose ahead of time. You can pre-plan what it is you're going to do. You can maybe work some of them into what you do first thing in the morning to start your day on a good note, or into your afternoon if that's when you often feel you have an energy slump. Maybe both, right? So it might be moving or stretching for a few minutes. And I've included, given you some suggestions for what I do already. Um, I do have an invitation for you. I have a resource. It's a quick energizers list, and it's basically a simple resource to help you collect the things that work for you for different amounts of time that you might have, so that you can easily go to that list, pick something that feels good to you, and just do it. Rather than, the more we have to think about things, the harder we make it, right? So in that resource, there's a template that you can use. I also include the things that I have included on my list in case that's helpful for you, for inspiration and ideas and so on. But I'm very happy to share that with you, that you can use as a simple tool, so that when you have that precious time for you, you can easily use it for something that is really going to serve you. So if you'd like that, just drop energizers, just the word energizers, and I'll get you access to that as well. All right, so let's move along. Next tip. And again, this is one that you've heard before. It's one that we all know. So hard for us to do, right? Ask for help when you need it, whether that's from family, whether it's from friends, or whether that's actually getting in professional help, right? When we try to focus on everything, we focus on nothing. And it's so easy for us to think, I have to do it all myself. When we're doing that, you're not focusing effectively on anything, right? And it's very depleting because we're switching between so many different tasks. Right? So one of the best things that you can do for yourself is you can ask for help when you need it. It might be help from family. It might even be enlisting your kids to help you with things, which can be a win-win, right? I did, before doing this live, I did some posts on Facebook in different groups in different areas, and asking people what are their suggestions for for mums juggling work and so on. And one of the things that came up a lot was various different versions of ask for help, and that included shared cooking nights with kids, so that the kids are helping with the cooking, or with other aspects of the chores or housework. And that's a win-win, because you're creating good memories, you're doing things with them, they're learning skills and so on. It can take a little bit to get that started, but once we get into a flow with that, it can be really empowering. But it can also involve actually asking friends or family to come and help you. That's something else that came up a lot. Or actually identifying what are the things that you need to focus on in your life and your business that really move the needle. What are the things that are most important for you to do as a parent and also in your business? And what are the other things that take a lot of time and energy, but that actually are not leveraging your strengths? Right? Those things we can quite readily hand off to someone else. Yeah. So that can look in all sorts of different ways. It could be hiring a virtual assistant, or someone to assist in your business to take over those tasks that actually don't play to your strengths and are not efficient for you to do. It could be getting in someone to clean the house on a monthly or weekly or whatever basis, so that you can feel that that's being taken care of and it's not taking your energy. It could be getting creative and thinking about, how can I organize someone to come and be with my kids, especially if your children are still at the age where they need an adult around. Is there someone who could come and step in for me? Maybe I can organize an au pair or a nanny, or maybe there's a neighbor or a friend who could spend time with them just for a certain amount of time, so that you can focus on the things that really move the needle, or have some time out for you, which is something that really moves the needle. So often, depending where you're at in your business and your life, often we think, yeah, Anna, I've heard that before. That's all very well, but I need to have the money before I can do that. I totally get that. Money is just one way for us to do these things, though. We can get creative about it. You can say to yourself, how can I let that be easy? What are some options that would work for me at this time? Maybe there's someone who you can trade services with, that you can actually do something easily for them and they can do something for you, where you're exchanging your strengths, as it were. Could you be open to an option like that? Or, if you let your imagination go, if you ask yourself, what are some options that are readily available to me that would let it be easy for me to receive help? You can just see what comes up. You might be amazed that there are so many more options than you are consciously aware of to start, right? So that's an invitation for you. All right, so coming to my final tip. This one is one of my favorites. And this one applies to, yes, absolutely making time for yourself each day. And you can extend this particular mindset hack. I call it a hack, but it's really a very powerful mindset technique. You can extend this to anything. This is backed by so much science, and it's a very, very cool. I've used it in a lot of ways in my own life with some amazing results. And it's rehearse what you want in your mind in advance. Sounds really simple, right? When it comes to taking care of ourselves, though, often the biggest barrier is internal. And this comes up again and again and again. I keep bumping up against this in my own mind and in my own life repeatedly, even after years and years of doing the work, because we keep, extending the boundaries, but, then we bump up against them again. And it's come up with so many people I talk with as well. Our own mind can sabotage our best intentions, our own mind and perspectives and core beliefs that are so deeply held that often we don't notice them until we start bumping up against them and going, why is this feeling so hard? So one way to help us to shift that is a really powerful strategy, and it's called mental rehearsal. Some people also call it pre-paving. And again, this is one that and I've been practicing and teaching for years. It also came up from a number of people who shared suggestions, as I said, in response to my questions on Facebook. So a lot of people use this and it works. I actually learned this technique from my peak performance coach years ago, who was a fantastic mentor for me. He used this to help pro athletes, to help Olympians, to help top business people to be able to step beyond their perceived limitations and achieve things that they never previously might have thought possible. So yes, it works at that level, but it can also work for you to help you set yourself up to have a successful day every day and to incorporate time for you every day and to let it be easy. So mental rehearsal, what is it? It is what it sounds like, rehearsing in our mind. But I'm going to break it down for you. All right. So here's how it works in practice. It starts with closing your eyes. All right. So we're getting rid of external stimulation. Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths and allow yourself to relax. And so when I say deep breaths, I mean actually allow your breath to slow down a bit and breathing through your belly so that you can actually feel your belly inflate and deflate as you breathe. And when we're breathing deeply, that's actually signaling your body and your nervous system to relax. So allow that relaxation to happen. And once you're in that relaxed state, that's when you get into the mental rehearsal. What is it? Simply imagine yourself taking the action that you want to take, right? And taking that action successfully. So imagine yourself stopping work when you plan to, allowing it to be easy and stepping into taking time for you, whatever it is that you're going to do for you. Imagine that happening successfully. Imagine how good it feels. Mental rehearsal is about going beyond simply seeing yourself do it. It's not like it's not just watching yourself on a movie screen. It's actually stepping into the movie and feeling the experience as if it's happening now, as if you're living it now, right? And the more you can feel into that, feel the emotions that you feel that you would feel if it's happening now, feel how it feels in your body, add in any other sensations that help to make it as real as you can. And this is slightly different for different people because our brains and how we perceive the world is different for different people. What you're doing is you're essentially creating a future memory of it already having happened successfully, right? And you're leaning into and really relishing that memory, that experience. So imagine that and stay there for as long as you want, feeling into the emotions of doing it, feeling into how it feels in your body, adding in whatever details you want to make it feel as good and as real as you can, right? And stay in that imagined experience for as long as you want to. Even just a few minutes is going to make a difference, right? And then when you're ready, open your eyes and move into action from that state, right? So this sounds like such a simple technique, and it is. All the best techniques are really simple. The key is doing them, right? This one is very, very powerful because your mind cannot tell the difference between what is imagined and what is real. There are many, many, many studies that have been done that show that when we imagine something as if it's happening, it is actually rewiring your brain and in some instances your physiology as well. This has been measured and researched and validated. So, what you're doing when you're creating this future memory is that you are instructing your mind to believe that this has already happened successfully, right? So that when you actually step into doing the thing, your most powerful ally, which is your mind, is on board and it's supporting you and it's helping you because it thinks that the thing's already done. How cool is that? So this really, really works. And the more you do it, the more you practice doing this, the easier it will get. You can let this be easy. It only takes a few minutes. It's a great practice to do before any interaction or activity. Um, and as a way to kind of transition between tasks and all of that kind of stuff. But a really powerful way of using this technique, which helps you to set yourself up for success every single day and helps you to follow through and actually not just plan the time for you, but take the time for you, is this mental rehearsal. What I help my clients get into the practice of is mentally rehearsing your day before going to sleep every night. And that's about playing through your mind. It's planning out, what are the key things that the most important things that you're going to do in the day? When are you going to stop? When that self care is fitting in and what it is that you're doing. And mentally rehearse that day flowing successfully just before you go to sleep at night, playing it through in your mind, and particularly the emotions and the feelings of it happening successfully. That's what really locks this stuff in. It only takes a few minutes. And when you do that, as you go to sleep, your mind is continuing to rehearse that. My recommendation is revisit that mental rehearsal first thing when you wake up, make any adjustments that feel aligned for you, and then step into your day. It's about pressing play on what you've already recorded. And if you do that, if you can actually get into a practice of doing that each day, just a few minutes, you will find that things shift radically for you. And it will be much, much, much easier for you to let yourself take the time for you. And that's going to shift everything. So that's something that I invite you to play with. So there are a few things that I've gone through with you there. I certainly hope that some have resonated. And thanks again to everyone who's joining live. It is awesome, awesome to have you here. Oh, thanks so much, Kristen, for that comment. Yes, mental rehearsals is so good. All the stories I could share. It's just so much fun once you get into this practice. It's a game changer. So thanks for that, Kristen. And I'd love to hear from whether you're tuning in live or on the replay. I'd love to hear any other nuggets that you have. I'm just going to do a very quick recap of the things that I've shared, right? So the first thing is, we hear so many messages about it's so hard as a mum working from home, being a parent. It's so hard. We're juggling so many things. It's so hard to make time for ourselves. And yes, it can feel hard. And yes, you are juggling a lot. But so quick recap of what we can do about it. Even though we keep hearing that it's hard to be a work from home mum, and even though we know that we've got a lot on, I invite you to be kind to yourself, to acknowledge that you are doing the best that you can, and to give yourself a break, right? Because, we're always going to be able to look back and look at things and think, "Oh, I could do better, I should do better, I should. I call that shoulding all over yourself. But in each and every moment, you are doing your best with the resources, the time, the energy, the information that you have. So please acknowledge that. Give yourself a break and give you permission to be kind to yourself. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is related. Give yourself permission to let it be easy. If we keep repeating that message that this is a struggle, we're wiring our brain to make it a struggle. Is that what you want? Whereas if you can actually allow yourself, give yourself a permission slip to let it be easy for you to take even just a few minutes each day for you, then it will start to feel easier. Because every time you give yourself that permission slip, every time you go, oh, this is so easy, you're wiring your brain to make it be easy, and you will find ways to actually make that so. That's tip number 2. Tip number 3, make a schedule for yourself and stick to it. And that includes stopping when you plan to. So I recommend planning your day the day before so that you know what it is that you're stepping into. And that includes planning when you're going to transition from work to self-care to family, or whatever order you choose to do things in. And sticking to that, even if you haven't finished everything yet. It will pay off in the long run, I guarantee it. Tip number 4, make it a priority to take at least some time for yourself every day, even if it's just a few minutes, because by doing that, you're creating a habit. If you do not prioritize looking after yourself, how can you expect anyone else to? Right? And when you make it a priority to look after yourself a little bit every day, that's going to flow through into every other aspect of your life, including your parenting and the bottom line in your business. So that's tip number, I think we're up to number 4. The next one is that time that you plan for, utilize it wisely. I recommend making a list of what are the things that take just a few minutes that recharge and rejuvenate you, so that you can easily pick one without having to think about it and just do it. Drop energizers if you'd like my resource on that, which is a template you can use, and also suggestions based on what I do, which I've found really works. But that's just to give you inspiration and some ideas of things that you can do in very little time that actually are going to help you look after yourself. And next tip, ask for help. We evolved as human beings as a collective supporting each other. We evolved to ask for help. That's why every single one of us has a unique set of strengths, so that we can focus on our strengths and ask for help in the other areas. You do not have to do this by yourself. It is perfectly okay to ask for help, and there's many ways we can do that. So give yourself permission to ask for help, whether it's from family, friends, or professionals. And the final one is that mindset hack. Rehearse it in your mind in advance. That's called mental rehearsal or pre-paving. Different people use different labels. It's an incredibly powerful technique, and it will work wonders in your life. So have a play with that. Thank you so much, everyone who's joined live, and to all of you watching the replay, thank you as well. It's been great to have you on board. Anna McKinley, helping working mums to be able to meet and exceed your goals without sacrificing your relationships, without sacrificing your own health and well-being, and without sacrificing your sanity. You can let this be easy. And I'm here for you. All right. Thank you so much again for joining me. I absolutely appreciate you. Let's wrap it up there. And again, if you would like a copy of the show notes as well, drop notes and I will make sure I get you access to those, because we have covered a lot. You enjoy the rest of your day, evening, whatever it is, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you so much for being here. Bye for now.